muscle, it is mechanical swelling. And the epinephrine, that's the nebulized epinephrine, is able to dramatically cause constriction. It does, however, not work immediately. So we are really faced with an emergency situation, which is really in big trouble. And they provide oxygen at the same time, which is a tremendous benefit.
I know someone designed, spoke to me, a nebulizer that we turn on Shabbos. What does it mean? That it goes on for, let's say, every minute goes on for a few seconds, it goes off. But when you put on the on section, when next time it goes on, it won't go off. So you're not turning on anything, just stop it from going off. There's a built-in in the computer that it goes on for, say, a few seconds and turns off. And when you do something and it changes mechanically the thing, it won't turn off, so it'll go cassette. So you're not doing it, you're just preventing it from turning off. Right? Let's say you would have, let's say, a light is going to turn off, you're just stopping. So someone designed such a thing, I don't know, so if someone needs an nebulizer, he has a hat to turn on Shabbos also.
So I think the message that I can leave here with is the significance and importance of attending to this, because moderate or severe croup are very serious situations that need immediate treatment. Otherwise, there's potential very serious.
So I don't understand. Even mild. Even mild.
Well, it doesn't take very much
right.
at all. You see, it doesn't take very much at all to go from mild to moderate to severe. In fact, there is actually a recommendation medically that we use steroids for the moderate. That the recommendation is current up-to-date literature is use a small dose can be used. It's so effective, it takes them 43 hours to work, but the dexamethasone, the 24-hour medication, and it has a definite anti-inflammatory effect which can only benefit the child. And we see it, but that's the ultimate treatment. When they arrive at the hospital after having received the Hatzalah treatment, they still sit there and steroids work.
You have a choice with taking him outside and putting him on the hot water. What do you do?
The practical, this is a very sick child. The practical part is the steam. It works and you can sustain it. But the cold air, if it's really cold, it's going to be the -10, is an adjunct. It's another treatment. I go into this.
For what is it the right and what's not? What do you do? What's better? You want to take him outside and turn hot water?
The next subject.
Mother, I think you make the kid sicker.
That's right. The humidifier is done afterwards to maintain. You cannot generate intense humidity through a humidifier. The next subject on the list is sore throat. Sore throat is probably the commonest reason to seek medical attention on Shabbat Yom Tov, because they're concerned about strep throat, parents' knowledge about potential complications, aware of its infectivity, and they desire the child to return to school soon. Clinical judgment to decide strep throat versus viral is not always reliable, and the only truly reliable method is via the throat culture. Now, the question now with the throat culture, a Rav had come to my home and watched how it was done and gave an okay. This works as follows. We have a plastic tube, 3 drops of one, 3 drops of another, put into it. The swab is then opened up carefully without tearing. The culture is taken, mixed in here. We leave it in. We avoid schitta. Normally schitta is done. It's pulled out, but squeezing, but you do not have to do that. And then we insert another strip into here. Looks like this, and we wait to see the result. And I was instructed to take it out of here. So we cut it out, cutting the thing, take it out of my mouth, insert the strip into here. And then there is a color change, but the way it was looked at was that the color is already in the strip. We're not creating the strip, the color. So the understanding was, according to what was explained to me, that if I would do all those things, we'll get an answer. It's very interesting for me to see, just reading on Halacha before, that the significance of strep, why they take it so seriously, is even if it enters into a different category, even if a child is seen and the diagnosis is made, he may not be very sick now, but because he can get much sicker, you can start the treatment right there on Shabbat morning. That was outlined very strictly in this book. Certain children get very, very sick, very sick. And certainly the sooner the diagnosis is made, the sooner the unhappy child recovers. More importantly, it's not infectious to the siblings and surrounding people, and the child can return to school. So this is really what this is done, most common thing we do in the house.
Anytime you have a sore throat, the hedget, the person, the doctor doesn't know what it is. It's a suffix. Have to call in, you have a question. Usually, anytime a person in the weekdays has gone to the doctor, so Shabbos is also has to go to the doctor because he has a suffix. Is it serious or not? As far as the covering of the tria, see, I mean, it's not really tria, but it doesn't look nicer. It's one to test something. That was a question, to do testing on Shabbos, change the color. Let's say, sometimes when they test for ovulation, and they change the color for the thing it'll change the color. So the Gemara says, Klor, that Bia Rishayna is Mutter Shabbos, the first Bia of a virgin, and you want the time to come out and color to see that she's a Psula on the whole Gemara. So it's not called Tzfir under the some services. Oh, I said Tzfir, you're getting a red sheet. You want a red, you want to see that she's a Psula. Because it does look nice with red. It's dirtier. You want to know something from the idea, but not that it looks nicer when it's red. It doesn't look nice when it's red. It's right? It makes it enough. It's not nicer. So most of these things also, that's nicer when it changes the color. Right? It's
a clear strip.
Yeah. And changing the color, you're just testing, not because it looks nicer, because you would change the color, you would change the other. That's the you have to change the color because it doesn't look nicer. That make it even nicer concept.
Why is it different than Beis HaShchita?
Here you want it to be color. You want it not just to see now. Absolute everything is not called sphere. Right? The other thing is not called sphere. Right?
Why is it Beis HaShchita? They don't
The
want
other
the
thing
color.
is not looks nice. That's okay. You want to red around the meeting. Now the next thing that's red, from mine to be red. She doesn't mind being red, the sun looks dirty enough for it to feel when the thing sounds better. So you just a idea, getting an idea because it's red.
Der Eis oder nicht Mutter, no?
What?
Der Eis oder die Mutter? Check. Ist das auf der Fasche?
Yeah. No, here's something else.
Correct book to start that in the morning. The weights outlined here very, very strictly. Just the Rabbi comment on it that I certainly made note that there's something very appealing to me, and that is that if you suspect someone's got strep, if he says something that the doctor informed that it's a strep throat, he can start treatment immediately on this. Yeah. For example, this is on incapacity. For example, if one is informed the Shabbos morning his strep test was positive, he does not as yet feel the incapacitating effect of the strep infection. However, if he does not take antibiotics Shabbos morning, the infection will spread and make him sick enough to be in bed. He is therefore considered to be in the category of incapacitated, and furthermore permitted to ask a non-Jew to purchase antibiotics so he can start taking them on Shabbos. He does not actually have to wait until actually becoming incapacitated. Just a very, very easy to read this. So I have the marks, so I provide at home medications that I have to find elsewhere.
Shoes on the out also. As the person has asthma, even before the attack comes, the attack's not supposed to happen. Just let's say a cargo, but he has an asthma attack. So he's allowed to take the medicine before. So this take medicine because it's
Once he gets it, he's in.
I would get it. That's what's going to
Go to the next.
The book is treating it as a chela she'ein by sakana or yesh by sakana?
That's what Andrew said.
Ein by sakana. So if someone has a sore throat, is there a danger? Could they do a malacha to get to a doctor to check it out, or they can't do a malacha?
No, I'll see what it is. Depends what. Most people have a sore throat, they run to the doctor. But if he runs to a doctor, he's afraid there must be something serious.
Worse than strep, or even strep? Is that
He doesn't know. It's a mild sore throat. He doesn't run to a doctor. A mild raised sore throat. He doesn't know, so he wants to run to the doctor. What the doctor will say?
So it might be severe strep, and that is sakana, because severe strep could yes be a sakana.
Potential.
Potential.
Abscesses, all potential. There is something very basic. You cannot swallow. Very basic.
I want to say one thing about before that. Rav Moshe Feinstein held that a fever of 102 degrees Fahrenheit is called a suffocal damage. So since the other says he is not, there's nothing, 102, nothing. Right, take away, say about sakona, it's not sakona, it's 102 fever. Rav Moshe held like this, the MS, 4 antibiotics, 102 fever, he died from it. All these infections are very dangerous. Now we have a whole array of antibiotics, things that at least till now they're working. We're half later, we don't know what's going to happen. Right now they're still working. So we're not afraid of infection. We know we can treat it. But the etzem zak itself, a streptococcus infection is Yeshua Sakona. If we wouldn't have the medicine of Yeshua Sakona. Right. So the machla is Yeshua Sakona, that we have refuahs to take care of it. So Rabbi Shlomo, since the machla is Yeshua Sakona, she can Chal Shabbos, even though we have refuahs, but the machla itself is Yeshua Sakona. Other health is so we know we have a refuah b'yadenu, so it's not Yeshua Sakona. This is you say the Kud in Halacha. What's called Yeshua Sakona? The Kud Yeshua Sakona Yeshua.
Go to the next subject of fever. Fever is a common concern to parents, prompting them to obtain a medical opinion, especially in very young infants. Fever is always accompanied with a package. It includes headache, dizzy, irritable, lethargic, muscle pain, and most concern is lost appetite and fear of dehydration. It's important to remember that infants and small children are unable to express themselves and pinpoint accurately their problem. In fact, I remember many years ago, I was examining a 7-month-old baby. Parent I didn't know. At the end of the visit, the father turned to me and said, "Doctor, I appreciate your work because he was a vet." Meaning we both have to make a diagnosis, assessment, and apply proper treatment without any communication. I chose medicine. An essential and major guiding principle in fever is based on the principle, very important, how is the child? Not the fever, how is the child? Is he distractible? I recently just had, in fact, the highest fever I've ever seen was 107, this recently with the flu. That's a very, very, very sick child. Does he have good color? Is he distressed? My principle of fever control is I lower the fever and I raise the mood. I do not get no fever and I don't get normal mood, but I interact with children, want to engage with them. The 2-hour mark of Tylenol, the 3-hour mark of Motrin. I rely on fever control, and then I decide, when children come to us, the little baby looking at you, and he's got a fever, and you can try and work out what's wrong with him without him communicating. So we rely heavily on fever response. And I tell everyone, one of 3 things will happen to the child. He'll either wake up well tomorrow, or he'll develop into a more specific and definitive cold, cough, diarrhea, rash, or sore throat. Third option, he'll carry on with just the fever itself. Manageable response of fever, I've got time to watch. If I've got a question, this child needs investigation. And investigation in children is urine, spinal, chest x-ray, blood, and very, very great care. With 2 important considerations, that's of convulsions. Children between 6 months and 5 years who get convulsions, very, 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 very frightening for anybody you see it. The child's unconscious. Anyone who's experienced will agree with me on that. And that is a serious consequence of a high fever. And the next great concern is, unfortunately, in infants. And the parents are upset with us when we make a very strong decision. The babies who are under 3 months, especially under 2 months, if they have a fever, they have to go to the hospital. Babies day 5 and day 6, they go to the hospital, and they have the full septic workup. We're understanding that babies crash when they get into trouble. They literally just go. There's nothing to see. You get pneumonia without coughing, meningitis without any sign, urine infection without any symptom, and blood infection without any see. So we jump in the babies, do everything. They're admitted, intravenous. If it was unnecessary, go home. But you cannot say, oops, we should have done 2 days ago. And this whole understanding of the different categories of a baby with a fever is very significant. We very often have symptoms, but the question in medicine is if the judgment comes in. Is this child fitting that symptom? Which means, yes, there is a cold, but look at the kid. He's in big trouble. He's too sick for that diagnosis. And from a medical point of view, there's any question, the child has to go to the hospital. I now have a potential serious situation, and he will go down requiring a full septic workup.
No question. Because when it's fever, usually he's the doctor. He has to judge it. The person at home doesn't know too much. If it's a summit by him, he's not the Shabbos. With the doctor, he doesn't know. We don't know. It's winter until proven us.
Is it a rush with the Hatzalah or can you take a taxi?
No, it depends on the child. The child is not shut down at all. If the child just got a fever, just had now on Friday, the lady came in with that. Looked good, I wasn't concerned. Now, if the child shut down, it's an emergency. They're looking mottled, they get the that's a very sick child. That's got to go down urgently. There's something very wrong with the child. The child's still vigorous but has a fever, then I've still got time to act. But any question, they go down, they crash, they go downhill like that, literally very, very quickly in the safe.
And what people do you go to the doctor, not just for family?
It depends on, as we said, how is the child. So I'm very strict about making an assessment at the child's best. See, at 105, everyone's sitting like this and staring to the sky. At 101, I told them it goes from 105 to 101, not down to normal. At 101, I can engage the child. I can read a book, watch a video, or play the toy. Mother says, no go. He hasn't budged off the counter, off the kid. He is a sick child, and he needs medication. So we very the high fever is kind. The mother will not give any medication. I say, well, then I'm stuck with a very, very sick child. So I'm very into how are you at your best? Do you look good? And we look at the child. How is the child? I think that's my legacy to pediatrics. How is the child?
Can we talk for a second the methods of measuring temperature? Like the different ways?
Okay, so the good old way still works. Someone once said there's 3 temperatures. I believe that it's normal, warm, and hot. Normally, if you have to feel, but normal is normal. But in a baby, I have to know. Because they've got, the hospital's more than 100.6, 38.1, you have fever, you now warrant a full workup. But anybody else, normal is normal, warm is 100, 102, and the 104, they are very hot, 105, 107, child's totally out of it. That's what it is.
I mean, which thermometer, which method of taking temperature?
So, the old standard used to be rectal temperatures, and they've gone away a lot from that, but that still is very accurate. So ear and rectal are the same reading, and armpit is a lower reading, and mouth is got its own reading. So, and that's whatever people are used to doing, what they like to do. They don't like to do the rectal, they don't, but from our part, that represents core temperature, and is the most representative of the child's status. But again, I say, how is the child?
What about when you get on Shabbos? Which ones do you do on Shabbos?
Digital.
Nobody have a sub, you try to take a job.
You have a choice.
That ever goes with it, it makes a
It
life.
will either you go armpit and go in the bottom, go in the
That makes a life.
On the ear.
It's not accurate. The choice of the thermometer, we have the old thermometer, so you can have one with LED, the old ones. All technology.
In answer to your question with regards to the taxi, so when you're taking a child down, let's say, who has a laceration, you have a relatively stable patient. If you're taking a child down that has a fever, why would you want to be in a situation, if something happens, there is no way to help that child? If you're sitting in traffic somewhere, and you're not going down by ambulance, okay? Something happens to the child, there's nothing that anyone can help to do.
That's good. How long do you have?
So but there is no way of knowing how long you have. Dr. Geft can tell you, you have a child that's fine, and we've seen it all the time. Next second, they're having a febrile seizure. Did the parents see it? Not at all. Fever shot up, boom, child seizing on the wherever, and that's what happens.
You're disagreeing with Dr. Geft?
I'm not disagreeing.
No, so I'm
Never,
working with...
I never disagree with Dr. Geft.
Mine and I work with Frank works for me. That's where clinical judgment comes in. And you get this, the hush, and if I say I'm not happy, that's my word, you have heard me say, I'm not happy. When I say I'm not happy, this child is going to go down, and then the decision's made. He's not looking good, he's going to go down to emergency, or if I'm not concerned, he goes down the other. So it's a line clinical judgment. Unfortunately, pedal convulsions occur in 5% of children. If the child's put to bed and suddenly he's convulsing, that happens, very serious situation. But I rely really clinically. I can make a judgment. How is the child? I look at the child, the color, responsiveness, interacting, and then based on that I go in.
The
next subject.
Electric thermometers. The battery operated thermometers. They be used on childish if someone has to check.
You have to check, certainly do it.
What?
You have to, that's what's made it.
Someone could to keep a mercury thermometer in his house or something?
What?
Someone could to keep a mercury thermometer in his house or something?
Doesn't know it.
Huh?
That couldn't do that. If he has a reason to suspect that something.
You don't have to the battery operated one. How to find the mercury? First of all, could go get mercury.
Very sure it is.
Hard to find it. So yeah, I think if they use it. Yeah, I don't.
Normal warming up. Very good idea.
It's better I should just check if it's hot. If I feel that it's hot, then I go to the doctor. I feel that he's hot. Or I have to go check the thermometer and see that it's 100 whatever.
The next subject is ear infections. Ear infections can be very severe, and the mother walks in and we're up the whole night. I will tell you, an adult gets an ear infection, he will cry. Adults who get ear infections cry. It's an uncontrolled pain. The diagnosis is made by otoscopy. This requires a Shabbat, so we have to put the light on. And make a diagnosis. Today, treatment of the infection is a little different. We so-called treat the pain of the infection. When mother says my child is up from 12 a.m. till 2 a.m. and has not said a word since, and it's now 11 o'clock in the morning, then medically you don't need to treat. And the reason why they're not crying is an ear infection at 99% full has got no pain. At 100 it's got all pain. As we went back to 99, it's again no pain. It's not empty, it's just not full. And that's how it works with the children. So you walk into the room 12 o'clock, he's sleeping. 12:01, he's absolutely screaming for 3 hours. And 3 o'clock, he's fine, goes to sleep. How's your ear? Fine. It's not fine, he has no pain. So those parents who choose treatment, antibiotics will help it, but certainly there's intense pain, and children up the entire night, and very, very unhappy parents, and everyone suffers for it. So treatments either treat the pain or antibiotic options are available.
Is it dangerous?
No. So this is how it goes. Until many years ago, treatment was you do have to treat the infection, and the statement was there was a potential of a brain abscess. If you look at the anatomy, it's very scary. You've got an ear infection right deep inside your head with a bone and the brain above it. And I remember going to Dr. Humphreys in the hospital, head of neurosurgery, and saying, do you really see brain abscesses? He says, yes, he does. It's just such an uncommon situation that now they've changed it and you don't have to treat it. It's still certainly a potential, but the kids all do very, very well, and those mothers who left to treat, we treat. Those who prefer not to, we don't. So it's a potential. Have we seen other things? Absolutely. Mastoiditis comes back the back of the ear. Your ear comes forward. Facial nerve palsy went in. Well, these are all potential serious complications. But in real life, it doesn't run that way. And it's more the pain element that needs control. The child's in absolute distress. Absolute distress.
Perforated eardrums, you don't.
Perforated eardrums are not serious at all. If you think about it, when you have tubes, which is one of the commonest operations, they perforate it for you. And for 1 year, or 2 years, or 3 years, the children have 10 sets of tubes, they have perforated eardrums. So they are maintaining a perforation with a tube, and that's why it works. So it perforates, the child has total relief, and it always heals beautifully afterwards. It's a rarity that some child will get a prolonged.
It's not the cool method.
Well, again, this has changed. What they do now, at one stage, everyone also had custom ear plugs. Not done at all. No such thing anymore. They swim, they do everything. The ear is designed very, very beautifully. You can think about it. I think what happens is the child who splashes in the mouth, someone does that, it goes under pressure. But if one goes swimming, you don't come up and say, hello, I can't hear.
Yeah, very often, about going to the mikveh. They have a perforated drum.
It's a potential, and I said, so I don't know a single child now at the moment who has.
And the dogs the same thing.
I just know children, it's not done. They used to be routinely go for earplugs, and now it's not done anymore. I remember Dr. Friedberg saying his kids didn't have earplugs. I remember that.
What's that? Why do I use a light to look inside? It's not the Kuach Nefesh ear infection.
What?
It's not the Kuach Nefesh ear infection.
Well, if you have a baby, a baby does not pinpoint.
Could be. Halacha could be, I'm saying.
So that there's Kuach Nefesh, ear infection, so that there's Kuach Nefesh?
Yeah, could be.
But a baby is not pinpointing his ear. I've got a miserable, screaming baby, more miserable, not screaming parents, who are up the entire night, and you'd better find something wrong with this kid. That's what it says.
You have to pre-prepare it. Can you just explain that thing? I didn't understand what you're saying about the earplugs. You don't need earplugs for perforated eardrums?
Have perforated eardrums, or children have tubes, which is very, very common. There's a tube sitting halfway in the eardrum, so there's a connection between the outside and the inside, and yet when they go swimming and they have baths and have showers, they don't get ear infections. This was done routinely. That it was done here. They used to have custom earplugs made, and was done. And somehow, I remember Dr. Friedberg saying he did do it for his own children, and somehow it's just not done anymore. And really, what happens? So we get a child that is sitting about another child does this, and spritzes in there the dirty water in the middle ear will cause ear infection. But for every kid who's got tubes, no one I'm aware of has got custom earplugs.
Maybe just check by going to mikveh. But we have this problem. We have to go to mikveh. We don't have to put a special earplug in the shot. I'll do it. We don't need it. So.
Yeah, from what I see. Next is
extreme pain. Let's say like a toothache, but really, really extreme. You can't take it.
So you can have an infection. The Stein of Fleem is called Nefesh. It's called Nefesh.
Next subject.
The pain is. It doesn't have to. It could be a very simple thing. You got these are food stuff.
Next subject is that of wheezing. Very common, serious condition. Over the winter months, I admitted at least 8 children with bronchiolitis. Children arriving in the office absolutely short of breath, low oxygen levels, requiring urgent call, hospital admission, ambulance transport. There's no response to Ventolin. Child needs oxygen and has got to be there for 3 or 4 days. Asthma, easier to treat. We have the wonderful aero chamber, which permits us to deliver the Ventolin right into the lung with very good response. There's one of the Hatzalah members that said to me something, and I have to agree with it. I've had children come in, and the mother says to me, I said, whoa, I'm really concerned, he's really looking bad. She says, Dad, you should have seen him last night. And that is serious. In our hospital, one of the commonest cause of unexpected death is due to unrecognized hypoxia, lack of oxygen. I had a child, I was just going to mention, many, many years ago, a child who, this mother was very not into medicine, and on Shabbat, the phone rang. And when that phone rang, there has to be something very, very wrong. I answered the phone, and she said her son, whom I knew, has a serious asthma attack. He came to phone, he could not get out 2 words in a sentence. I said, urgent. Called Motzei Shabbos, and he's back home. And I said, what? We went down, and the doctor listened and said, heard no wheezing. Said, the reason why there's no wheezing is because there's no air going. So again, look at the child and it's unrecognized that the child's sitting and talking and cannot get up 2 or 3 days, that child's having serious distress. If I cannot relieve them with this here, then the child has to